Hello and welcome to week 11 here in Sociology and Technology, where we are taking on Chapter 10, AI, looking at artificial intelligence. Now first, it's really important that we kind of get our heads wrapped around the concept of what is AI. AI is a broad spectrum of ways in which we've allowed computers to learn and adapt to the actions of the user in such a way as to help the user. Now, ultimately, that was the goal of this whole thing. So all the way back to spell check. Spell check within your word processor is a form of AI, recognizing the input, comparing it to its a database of knowledge and comparison and whatnot, and then providing feedback to the user that they've actually misspelled something. All the way up to the kind of decision-making tools that we're seeing today. Now, not a computer nerd. I'm not, and I mean that in a very positive way. I'm not a computer scientist. I'm not an expert in AI technology. So, in my AI is here in my quest to understand AI as best that I can, and still working on wrapping my head wrapped around it, getting my head wrapped around it. The I researched and found a very, very compelling book that itself has gained some popularity within the education and AI community, and that is this book right here, AI Snake Oil, and what artificial intelligence can do, what it can't, and how to tell the difference. Making my way, I'm up right up to there, making my way through this book, learning about AI, learning about its dangers, learning about what it can and can't do, learning about its truly helpful ways in which AI technology can enhance our lives, and very well written by a professor of computer science with a specialization in AI, and one of his students who was actually involved in the development of AI at Google. So these two come together to talk about this from this point of view. Very well written, and I would recommend just an excellent read. And it both gets into the technology of what AI is, and it gets into what it can and can't do. And so, with that, what are our fears? What are we hearing in the news? And again, being mindful that we have to be evaluating our sources. There are certainly lots of people that are looking at this from a gloom and doom perspective. We may lose control of this. There are numerous science fiction portrayals of the robots coming to kill all of us because we're no longer necessary. All of those things is sort of this environment in which this technology is developing. And its impact on us as a society is front and center. I can't think of another piece, maybe nuclear technology, AI, that these two captured people's imaginations of the question, have we gone too far? You know, there's maybe some medicine we kind of think that we've gone too far, but nobody well, I guess maybe in all of the areas some people might think we've gone too far. Maybe some people say we should stay on Earth, we should never go inhabit another planet. We use genetic engineering to create foods that are more nutritious and grow in places where they couldn't grow before in order to address hunger all over the world. We're looking at technology in terms of fuels that we have. Then those fuels produce waste from our energy consumption, so we're looking at other technology that's less wasteful. All of these things. But I think right now AI is right in front of us in our imagination because it's technology that went right to our doorstep. Nuclear technology is not something that's at our doorstep. It might be something that we have thoughts about. It's far off. The nuclear plants are far off. Every once in a while we have a serious incident, but it's kind of way at arm's length. We might even think about that way in terms of genetically modified food. Our expectations when we go into the grocery store is that our vegetables look unbelievably. They look just like the label. And a lot of that is because of the genetically modified content within those vegetables and those fruits and whatnot. But AI, unbeknownst to us, in fact, it was as an Apple freak, I do know that the technology for AI has been built into iPhones for a very long time, anticipating that when AI was developed and they released it, they would have millions of users with the equipment already in hand. So that small device that we have suddenly became an AI device, and it was brought right to us. And I think that that's probably some of the ways in which this has really captured our imagination. So the chapter 10 discussion, I give you a choice of 3, and you can participate in this as deep as you want. You can participate in all 3 of these topics, or just one, totally up to you. One is the concern versus bias and fairness associated with AI. Then we look at transparency and accountability. Well, who's responsible for what AI does? Very, very compelling question. And then, of course, privacy and surveillance. With AI mechanisms built into our personal devices, who has access to that information? How is that information used? How is that information sold? Those kinds of things. Maybe I got that device, and does it have the capability for me to shut those things down when that information that AI is collecting is the revenue for the people who have created that AI to sell to product manufacturers, marketing firms, whatnot. So a discussion about those things. Chapter 10 quiz, multiple choice quiz about the content within the chapter. There's that. And then finally, the assignment. Chapter 10 assignment. I'm asking you, this is kind of a longer assignment. I'm asking you to consider, both in terms of your current experience, but I also want you to do a little bit of research. Look it up. Spend about maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes on each one of these, looking it up to kind of see what's out there in terms of any good, bad, and ugly relationship between AI and specific aspects of our culture. How is AI impacting that culture? So let's go over them a little bit to get some ideas as to what I'm looking for. So here's in the course book on chapter 1, page 168, I introduced the assignment culture plus AI. And then over here on the right, this is the outline of your paper. And what I'm looking for really is you have a title page, and then the first section, bold, you put Introduction to AI and Culture. And then you write it a brief paragraph, 2 paragraphs at the most about that. Then another bold heading, AI in global context. AI in arts and entertainment, and so forth. So you look in here, I'll provide you some guidance as to kind of information I'm looking for you to provide here. This is an overview of AI technology. Here we look about, select at least 3 countries or region and examine the role of AI within their culture and societal framework. How is that happening in other parts of the world? Then we look at here, art, music, film, literature. And this is one of the areas that's, very, very near and dear to me. I've been following this particular area of AI technology, particularly in the generation of art, the generation of music, and the way AI works is it looks at a database of information that's available on the web, or the amassed information that the developers of that AI technology have provided as a learning platform for the AI. And there's a lot of material that has been provided to AI that is copywritten art products by artists and musicians, and those are available for AI to use free of charge without any consideration to giving credit to the original creator. So those kinds of things. You're going to be looking for some examples of that. But yet at the same time, my music production software has AI components in there to do retuning, to analyze the rhythm that I might be playing and assign a responsive drum track to that same thing. I can go into the drum machine within my software and I can say things like, I can use descriptions, verbal descriptions as to the kind of drum thing that I need. They have it for bass as well, giving the key, give the chords, come up with a bass line. They come up with some pretty good bass lines. So what's that? So who wrote the song? If now I might have put those pieces together. Same as a painter doesn't have to make their own paints, but yet there's still a generative component of AI that's being used in music production. We go on to the more sections here. Cultural representation in the AI system. So different cultural representations, bias, and whether or not people, different points of view, whatnot, how those are represented within AI, the future prospects and recommendations for AI, and then, of course, the rest of the criteria here about good writing and all that stuff. So it's kind of a deep dive into these areas. Let's say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas. So you're looking at 1 or 2 paragraphs on each one, but those paragraphs should represent some sources that you've looked at, and I would like you to include those sources. So you look in text citations within the document itself, and then you create a new page at the end of your document where you list all of your sources. Now, just because it's come up in a couple of papers here, when you're looking at a website, when you do a search on a website for a website, and you're in Google or whatever, and you click that website, it brings you to something, and you get something out of that, and you copy the URL. The URL includes oftentimes all of that code language that Google used to find that article. You got to take all that away. Get to just the URL for the article itself. That database language is not necessary, and it's actually ugly, looks horrible. So if you ever, in any class, if you ever put one, you paste the URL and you're like, holy cow, what's all this? You can actually take most of that away, all the way up to, like, you'll see where the kind of like URL ends. Test it to make sure that brings you right to the article, and then just that link should be included in your references. So cleans up your paper quite a bit. So a little hint on that to go along with the rest of the class. So okay, so that's it for this week. Taking a look at AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Look forward to our discussion, and I look forward to seeing how you feel about all these very important areas of the impact of AI on our culture. So take care, have a great week, and I'll see you online.